Hello everyone, it's my pleasure today to introduce the new Magic Tool. The new SDK Magic Tool can be considered as the best Magic Tool ever because it has the most of the previous tools properties and features in addition to its own features and properties. The new Magic Tool can be used with all versions of Primavera and it can also be used with all Excel versions 64-bit in addition to Microsoft 365. One of the powerful features of the new Magic Tool is that it can be used with SQL Server and with Oracle database, and it can also be used with the SQLite database. If you will work with the SQL Server, all you need is to enter the server name, update the databases on this server, and select one of these databases. After that, you can update the projects in this database. You will get a list of all projects in this database. You can select any of them to update its records and then export them again to Primavera. If you will work with Oracle database, all you need is to enter the database name, then the username and the password which you use when you configure the database in Primavera for the first time. After you enter this information, update the projects in Oracle database, and you can select any of these projects to update its records. If you will work with SQLite database, all you need is to download the driver which will connect the Excel with the database from this link or from this link. After that, you can go to your computer and select the database file, and you can update the projects in the SQLite database. You can select any of these projects to update its records and export it again to Primavera. As you see, it's very easy to work with any of these three main types with SQL Server or Oracle or SQLite database, and how it's also very easy to move from one type of this database to the other type without any precautions. The new SDK Magic Tool can be divided into four main divisions. The first division is to import the records from the database or from Primavera, and the second division is to export the records to Primavera. The third division is to draw the S-curves from this option, and the fourth division is to import the tables of the database and also translate all of these tables to understand the real meanings of its contents. As we know, the most important two divisions are the export data and import data. Let us start with the third division and the fourth division, and then we will go back to these first two divisions, import and export. For the third division, the S-curves, you can use SDK Magic Tool to draw the S-curves. After you update the databases, select one of the SQLite databases from this option, update the databases, and let us select, for example, this database. Go to S-curves and click this option. You will get a list for all projects in this database. You can select one of these projects to draw its S-curves. For example, let us select any of these projects. After you select one of these projects, you will get another powerful tool to draw the S-curves, and there are special videos to guide you how you can use this tool to draw the S-curves of any projects in Primavera. This is the third option that you can use by the SDK Magic Tool. We will not draw any of these curves now. Let us close this window. But you can see some of the curves that have been drawn by the SDK Magic Tool. These are some curves that have been drawn by the SDK Magic Tool, as you see, and you can find the values of these curves under the drawing, and you can study all of these values to understand your project. The curves, the S curves, are also divided into two main categories. The first category is the S curves for the costs, and the second category is the S curves for the units. And you have also main subjects under these two categories. You have the cost performance, the target costs, the actual costs, remaining costs, total costs, baseline costs, and so on. And under the units, you have also the same categories. This was the third division, which you can use with the SDK Magic Tool. For the fourth division, for the table, you will get a list for all tables in the database, and you can select any of these tables to import data from the database. For the tables, we have this list of tables. In SQL Server you have this list, and in Oracle you have this list, and the SQLite you have this list. These main tables are also divided or can be related to project or global and project, and most of them are global related. Most important tables for the planners can be translated by the SDK Magic Tool to understand these tables. For example, this table for the relationships between activities, and you will get it in this view from the database, which you cannot understand any of these numbers until you go back to the original tables of these numbers to understand the real meanings. But by using the SDK Magic Tool, you can translate these tables. For example, after you use the translation option in the SDK Magic Tool, you will get the table of the relationships like this. This is the first task, and this is the second task, and this is the relation between them. And if you have lag in this relation, you will find it here, and you can understand all of your projects from this table, all relationships of the projects from this table. Another example for the tables, for the task activity, you will get the activity code assignments of the projects like this table. It has also numbers, and you can understand any of these numbers until you translate it by the SDK Magic Tool. You will get this table after translation. This is the task, its ID and description, and this is the code type, and this is the code value assigned to this task. This is a normal table, and you can understand it. These are the third and the fourth divisions in the SDK Magic Tool. Let us go back to the first and the second divisions of this new SDK Magic Tool. As we see, these are the import and export options in the SDK Magic Tool. Let us shed light on some features of the SDK Magic Tool and how it will make it very easy for you to understand your projects and to import and export data to Primavera. For example, let us start with activity code assignments for this project. Let us go to SQL Server and select this database, and then update projects, and let us select this project MFG 925. It has the code assignments MFG 925, this project, and select the main category activities, and from activities select the activity code assignments. As you see, this project has more than 700 activity code assignments, and these are the details of these assignments, which I would like to say that the SDK Magic Tool will make it very easy when you update or delete or modify any of these assignments. For example, you will get a list for all tasks in this project in this list, and you can select any of them. You can also find a list of all code types that you can use in this project. Some of them global related and the other project related. Just you select any of these code types, you will get a dynamic drop list for all values under these code types, and you can select any of them. As you see, you will find it very easy when you select the tasks, the code types, and the values under any of these code types. You will be sure that the data you select are correct and the data you send to Primavera are correct. If you have so many assignments for the code assignments, there are another methods that you can use to make these assignments by using the SDK Magic Tool. You can generate this table. As you see, in seconds you can have all tasks in this project, and you can have the project activity codes in these two tables. These are the code types and code values, and you can also have the global activity codes. These are the activity codes, and these are the values. You can prepare these three columns, one for the tasks, the other for the code types, and the third one for the code values from this data, and then you can copy these three columns and then paste them here in these three columns, and you can use the export option, this export option, to send this data to Primavera. You can export thousands of the activity code assignments to Primavera. You can also use these lists. If you select one, you will get the project codes, and you can insert any of them. If you change one to two, you will get the global activity codes, and the third option for the EBS codes if you have any of them. This only as an example for how it will be very easy to use the SDK Magic Tool to export data to Primavera, and also you will be sure that all records that you send to Primavera are correct, and you will not make any mistakes when you export data to Primavera. This was the first example. For the second example, let us shed light on the activity UDF. For example, let us go to this project MFG 69659, this project, and let us select activities, and then let us select this activity UDF, import data from Primavera. This project has more than 90 activity UDF. You will see how it's very easy when you use the SDK Magic Tool. You will also get a list for all tasks in this project, its ID and its description, and also a list for all UDF types that you can use with these tasks, in addition to the type of this UDF, if it finish date, start date, cost, text, and so on. All you need is to enter the value in this column and then export the UDF data to Primavera. You can also delete some of these records or modify them and update all of this table and export it again to Primavera. The most important thing that you will send the correct data to Primavera without any mistakes, and you will find your data under these drop lists, and you need not to go anywhere to import your data for the tables that you would like to update. The third example, let us see the WS for SQL. Let us change the database. You can go to this database and then update projects. Then you can, let us go to this project, select WPS, and you can import this WPS as table or chart or table and chart. Let us import it as table and chart. As you see, when you import the WPS as table and chart from the database, you will find all of this information. But when you export the WPS to Primavera, all you need is one column. Let us delete all of the data and all of this data. When you export this database, this WPS to Primavera, all you need is the WPS code, and you can draw your WPS as you would like to send it to Primavera, and you will find it very easy when you draw something like this, or to write down only the WPS codes. You will find many examples and some videos. You can see the videos accompanied to the WPS from these tables, and you have also another methods to export the WPS to Primavera, and the videos will guide you how you can use these types to export WPS to Primavera. You have 4 methods. The first method is the top down WPS, and then bottom up WPS, and the WPS from table and chart like this, and you can also export the WPS only as chart to Primavera. These videos will guide you how you can use these methods, and you will find it very easy when you export the WPS to Primavera. This was the third example. Let us go to the resource table and chart. When you import the resources from Primavera, you will get this table. As you see, when you import the resources from Primavera, you will get all data about your resources. But when you export resources to Primavera, all you need is the resource ID and its name. And you can write down the data you would like to see in Primavera. When you import data, you will get this table, but when you export data, as you will see in the related videos, you need only the resource ID and the resource name. You can also draw the resources as hierarchy if you would like to see your resources in hierarchy, and you can also put all resources as list like this. You can export thousands of resources to Primavera by using this option. For the next example, the resource assignments, you will find it very easy when you export the resource assignments to Primavera, and you can also export thousands of resource assignments to Primavera. When you select this option, you will go to activities and then resource assignments. The table will be like this, and you will find many of the drop lists that will help you to send the resource assignments to Primavera. In this column, for example, you will get the activity ID and its description, and in this column you will find the resource, the ID of the resource and also its description, and in this column you will find the rules. Here you will find the cost accounts. As you see, the drop lists will help you too much to select the correct data and to save your time. All you need is to enter the numbers for the costs and the unit rate and so on, and you will have many options here to help you when you prepare the table of the resource assignments. This option you can use to import the unit prices from the database for all of these resources, and this option to check only the unit prices in database, this to calculate the units, and this to calculate the costs, and this can check the units and costs for you in this table before you export them to Primavera. This was an example for the resource assignments, and the last one for the activity details, and this is one of the most important categories for the planners. When you export the activity details for one project which it has no activities, it has only its WPS, you will find the table like this, but you must import the table to get the format of the table and the columns headers that you will fill in its data. And you can export also thousands of activities by using the SDK Magic Tool to the database, and you will find it very easy when you fill in the records. All of the records that can be prepared by the SDK Magic Tool, you will find them in row lists like this. This for the duration types. You have 4 duration types and the percent complete, and the complete type you can select one of these physical duration units. For the calendars, you will find all calendars in your database, and you can assign any of them to the activities. For the activity type, you will find the list of all activity types, and you can use one of them, and so on. Under the WPS code and the WPS norms, this is the most important field here. You will find a drop list for all WPS codes. You can select any of these WPS codes. You can copy it, for example, and then you can write down all activities under this WPS code, and then you can select another WPS code and write in all activities under this WPS. As you see, you will send correct data to Primavera, and you can send thousands of these activities data to Primavera. It was a very fast introduction to the new SDK Magic Tool, but you will find tens of videos under any of these categories to explain and to guide you how you will use the SDK Magic Tool. If you are registered by us, you will receive an email for the offer of this SDK Magic Tool. If not, you can go to our Facebook page and write down your email, and we will send you the offer. Thank you and goodbye.